The Czech Republic consumes more beer than any other country. The average Czech drinks 158.6 liters of beer a year. That's nearly a 12-pack every week. Inside his Campbellford, Ontario pub, brewmaster John Graham has to decide on a name for his new craft beer from a short list of 5. Genghis Khan, Hair of the Dog, The Great Gatsby, Thy Neighbor's Wife, and Resurrection. Maybe a game of beer pong will help him choose.
Oh! This is exactly what my guidance teacher said I was best suited for.
It's a dirty one, too. It's kind of hard to order a beer with no name.
Actually, I have a tradition of naming them after puns of literary works, which is always fun. We've had some beers in the past, like Grains of Wrath.
Yeah, I like that.
In that case, John's third choice, The Great Gatsby, is a perfect fit. He could almost build a beer library of literary puns. The Great Gatsby evokes the 1925 novel The Great Gatsby from American novelist F. Scott Fitzgerald. But is The Great Gatsby a good name?
Terrible name right out of the gate. No matter what the beer tastes like, it's just a terrible name.
The Great Gatsby is associated in my mind with an era of prohibition. And so beer isn't really something that comes to mind when I think of that roaring era.
The Prohibition years definitely weren't easy on brewers. Sleeman's got caught smuggling beer across the border from Canada into the U.S. in 1933. The brewer lost its license and its most famous customer, Al Capone. The Sleeman name wasn't associated with beer again until the great-grandson, John Sleeman, resurrected the brewery in 1985. Which brings us to the fourth name on John's shortlist, Resurrection.
Resurrection. It ties to the church, the fact that we brew in a church and sort of something new, something revitalized. It's an interesting name.
I think Resurrection works really well. You drink the beer and you're born again.
I wouldn't name my beer anything that has erection in the word.
That is a problem.
It's a good point.
Resurrection.
I know.
Like Resurrection, many beers have been named after real and fictional events in history.
Well, a lot of beers are named after catastrophes, doomsdays. There's Apocalypse, there's Armageddon. There's Black Tuesday that was named after the market crash in the 20s that led to the Great Depression.
A beer that marks the Depression? That beer would suck. It's a beer you drink when you're feeling down and bad about yourself. That's not the time you should be drinking.
So what is it that makes a beer name successful? It could be as simple as how it rolls off the tongue.
Beer is a 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 beer until you've tasted Hamm's.
Something that's really important to remember when you're naming a beer, whether it's a craft beer or a mainstream beer, is something that's called a beer call. And the beer call is a very simple marketing consideration that all breweries need to be aware of. And that is, how does the name of the beer sound when it's shouted across a loud bar? And does the person who's hearing it actually understand it and take the order properly?
Since John brews his beer in a church, he's asked for professional advice. 5 ministers walk into a bar. Their goal? To help John decide between the 5 names by testing out the beer call.
Give me a resurrection.
Sorry, what?
A resurrection. Thy neighbor's wife, please.
Your name is what?
I like thy neighbor's wife.
Hair of the dog? Sure, what can I get for you?
Hair of the dog?
What would you like?
Yeah, I'll have a Great Gatsby, please.
The Great Cat's beer?
Great Gatsby. You know, Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
The Great Gatsby.
Hey, give me a Genghis Khan, please.
Genghis Khan coming up?
Not all ministers have been so amenable to beer. In fact, the Methodists supported Prohibition in the 1930s. Ironic, since one of their old churches is now busy bottling some excellent unnamed ale.
Doing a monotonous job like bottling, it gives you a lot of time to think. And right now I'm thinking about those 5 names. Not sure what I'm gonna go for yet.
Which teetotaling escape artist almost drowned during a dangerous stunt performed in a locked vat of beer? David Blaine, Harry Houdini, or David Copperfield? Find out after the break. In 1911, famous escape artist Harry Houdini, a non-drinker, needed help from his assistants to escape a vat full of fermenting beer after he passed out from the fumes.
Out of those 5 names, I don't know which one I like best. Thy Neighbor's Wife, Genghis Khan, Great Gatsby, Resurrection, Hair of the Dog. I don't know which one's my favorite yet. I'm gonna have to give it some serious thought.
The final name option for microbrewer John Graham is
There you go.
the hangover remedy, Hair of the Dog, certainly appropriate for some beer drinkers.
I've only tasted the hair of maybe 5 kinds of dogs. Spaniel, it doesn't taste like spaniel hair.
I don't think that's not what they meant, I don't think.
Why not have something called violent, sick-making hangover? Or, God, I can't believe it. Or, I'm still blind 3 days later. I mean, that's the last thing anyone wants to be reminded of going in.
The expression dates back to the time of Shakespeare, where doctors believed that the best prevention for rabies was to actually put the hair of the dog that bit you into the wound. Historically, beers have been named after an animal, like the popular English ale, Old Speckled Hen. But as the story goes, the beer is actually named after an MG car that would ferry workers around the MG factory. It would get hit with specks of paint and became known as the Old Speckleton. So, on the 50th anniversary of the MG in 1979, they christened the beer the Old Speckled Hen. Time's up for John. If he wants people to order his beer, it's going to need a name.
I think I've made my decision now. I think I'll let Mr. George Wendt tell you what it is.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, George. How are you today?
Fresh as a daisy, as always.
Good to hear it. What will it be? They're all waiting to hear.
I'd like to order a lovely pint of the Great Gatsby.
The Great Gatsby it is.
Make it snappy.
Cheers, George. Yep. The Great Gatsby. We've got a long-standing tradition of using literary puns.
It's great beer, and Great Gatsby is a, classic novel. I never read it myself. I'll be inspired to read it after having one of these.
The crowd in here, they seem to love the name. It all worked out.